I think we're going to be going into a session both federally and at the state house that's going to give some real opportunities for farmers.
Hello and welcome to this edition of the State of Soy. I'm Aaron Putsey and I'm visiting with Matt Herman. Matt Herman serves as the Chief Officer of Advocacy and Demand for the Iowa Soybean Association. And Matt, we're coming out of a very another eventful election season. Give us the recap kind of at the macro level of how you are reading the results of the election.
Well, Aaron, we came out of this election. It was a really quick election to, I think, a lot of our surprise. Republicans are going to take control of the presidency in both houses of Congress, so we're going to have a Republican trifecta at the federal level, and we're also going to continue the Republican trifecta at the state level. So the House Republicans picked up a couple seats here in the state of Iowa and extended their lead there. So I think we're going to be going into a session both federally and at the state house that's going to give some real opportunities for farmers.
How do you see, Matt, some of the election results having an impact on some issues that farmers care about? Whether it's biofuels, whether it's for maybe some farm assistance, some disaster assistance. How do you see that playing out?
Sure, so I think there's three big federal bills that farmers are all kind of waiting to see what's going to happen on there. Of course, Farm Bill's top of mind. To be very honest with everybody, we're likely going to see a continuing resolution on the current Farm Bill. It's going to be extended, but going into next year, there'll be an opportunity to negotiate on that new Farm Bill, and hopefully they can pick up the pieces of this current Farm Bill. A lot of what was in that House package was really good for farmers, especially soybean farmers, saw a nice increase in reference prices, but do know that there are going to be other federal priorities like taxes that probably make the Farm Bill take a back seat. And so we could see another 1-year extension on this and potentially even 2-year extension. The other two federal issues are the Farm Act that was talked about back in October. This was a package of disaster relief. I think a lot of farmers saw that and got really excited. There were some big numbers as part of that package, something like $100 an acre for corn, about $48 to $49 an acre for soybeans. I wouldn't count those eggs before they hatch. I think we are going to get both an economic and a disaster package for farmers, probably separate packages, and they won't be as lucrative as what was initially put forth, but I think we will get something before the end of the year. And then the final piece that you kind of alluded to is just everything on biofuels. As our farmers know, if they've kept up with us on the state of soy the last year, we've had some significant issues with large imports of used cooking oil and animal fats that have really been putting a lot of downward pressure on soybean oil prices, and that trickles all the way back to the farm gate. There's been a lot of things that have happened both within the United States and that continue to happen here, but also internationally that are beginning to change the picture for the better. So China changed some export promotion incentives that they had for used cooking oil and rolled those back. And then we're also seeing the opportunity, there are import tariffs right now on used cooking oil, but they are refundable. So potentially into this new administration, we can just say, hey, we don't need new tariffs on used cooking oil. We just need to make sure that they're not refundable anymore. And then finally, on 45Z specifically, we were out on the Hill last week. We were talking with members, especially Congressman Feenstra, on the Ways and Means, and we got very clear direction on what they need going into this next Congress to get 45Z back on track for farmers.
Next week, Matt, we've got some ISA leaders in town. There's going to be a delegate session. We're going to be talking about policy. What's an issue or two that you see coming up for discussion among the farmer leaders?
Yeah, we've heard a lot about taxes in the last couple of weeks when we've gone out to these small groups, both at the federal and state level. Like I mentioned, at the federal level, we're going to be looking at the Tax Cut and Jobs Act, and Congress is going to be renegotiating that. That's where this federal biofuel piece will likely come back in, so we'll monitor that over the course of this summer and advocate for what farmers need there. And then at the state level, we'll also have those new tax cuts that have been passed over the last few years have been kicking in. And so now the leaders down at Des Moines are really going to have to look at how do we keep this budget balance to keep us on the path of fiscal health that the state has been on. So those are on the fiscal side, those are a couple issues. Staying also on the state level, farmers, we really want to get grain indemnity fund passed and fixed this year. There's a huge opportunity to get that insurance policy built up for farmers, recognizing the current value of the grain that's moving through the system. So I think that's an issue that we're going to be paying a lot of attention to. And then there's a couple smaller issues that continue to bubble up in the legislature, but that we want to be active on and support our colleagues and other commodity associations. And the one I would mention there is the Timber Reserve Program that we've worked really closely with the Iowa cattlemen's on to try to reform. That's been really important for our farmers across the southern part of the state.
So as one can expect, coming out of an election heading into the next legislative session, there's no shortage of issues. And you'll see on your screen right here where you can engage with Iowa Soybean Association. If you're a farmer out there, take a look as well at advocacy membership within the Iowa Soybean Association to help get engaged and involved to move these issues forward in a way that benefits Iowa soybean farmers. Reporting for this edition of the State of Soy, I'm Aaron Putsey.
Progress is a human invention. We look at our world and we imagine how to make it better. That's the power of human ingenuity. We can redefine what's possible. At Bayer, we're shaping the future of agriculture, like farms where all life grows together. It's not impossible, it's progress.